deeper with Lobbing Scorchers. You know, scratch under the surface, get down even dirtier than we already get. Become a YouTube member. Sometimes things just get a little too spicy, a little too weird, and a little too loose for the general public. And you know, the people to see that are YouTube members. We're talking about exclusive bonus videos, the podcast after show, exclusive written content, and little bits and pieces of information before the unwashed masses know about it. As a member, you not only get access to all of this amazing content, you get a badge next to your name and a slew of amazing emotes to use, not only in our live stream chat, but also in our comments section. And yes, we do have an emote for Jesus Ferreira, Ghost Snack, and Paul Rothrock. This is the best way to help keep us independent and keep us building out this crazy YouTube brand that we call Lobbing Scorchers. Hit the join button down below or hit the link in the top of our description if you're on mobile to join the ranks and become a Lobbing Scorchers YouTube member.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another post-game live. The Seattle Sounders just played the Columbus Crew at Lumen Field. It finishes in a 1-1 draw, but the game and the result obviously overshadowed by what happened right at the end of the match there. I mean, we all saw what happened, but a very scary situation with Sounders goalkeeper Stefan Fry coming out to try and punch away a free kick in a huge collision. And you could tell right away that it was worse than those situations usually are. I mean, the players were frantically motioning for the trainers right away, and Steph was down on the field. Didn't look like he was moving, so they brought the ambulance out, and just an all-around scary scene at Lumen. So, I mean, I think for the purposes of this show today, I think we're going to keep it short. Talk about the game a little bit. I'm going to run the Schmetzer presser here, but I'm not going to take calls today, guys. Sorry, it just doesn't feel like the vibe. It doesn't feel like the vibe. So I'm going to run the pressers, talk about the game a little bit, and then call it a wrap. Call it a wrap early. But I'm good to hang out for a bit, and if you guys do have questions or takes or whatever, drop them in chat, and I'll still get to them. But as far as like the normal protocol of dropping the call link in and having people hop on, we're gonna skip that today and just have a short little show here because I don't know, it feels like just like a read the room type situation. So that's how I'm gonna run it. So I guess the Schmetzer presser was just posted, and I haven't seen it yet. So I do know though that there was a report. I'm gonna pull it up just so I don't misquote it. But apparently the prognosis on Stefan Fry is positive. Per Sounder at Heart says Fry being evaluated for a head and neck injury, but he was conscious and moving when he came off the field. He's going to the hospital, but he is fine, is the quote from Brian Schmetzer, which we're about to watch that presser. But that's great to hear. I think that was the scariest situation I've seen on a soccer field. And the scariest thing about a situation like that is, at least for me, it's like my mind just goes to the worst case scenario while it's still up in the air and you haven't heard anything yet. So at least we have that positive prognosis, and obviously everyone affiliated with Lobbing Scorchers wishing Steph Fry the best, a speedy recovery, and all that. Steph Fry, obviously a club legend, MLS Cup MVP, won every trophy there is to win with the Seattle Sounders. But you talk to anyone in the locker room, and they'll tell you what a great teammate he is. What a great guy he is. He's been that way his whole time on the team, which is over a decade now. And as someone who's covered him and been around him for a lot of that time, he's always been great to deal with from the media side as well. Always a good quote, always insightful. So just a tough, scary situation, and we're wishing him the best. But I'm going to play the Schmetzer presser now, and if you guys do have questions or thoughts or topics, again, go ahead and drop them in chat, and I think I might play the Christian sound after this as well, and I'll lay down some takes on the game after we play these pressers. But again, I'm going to keep it pretty short. So I'm going to pull Schmetzer up now, and let's watch that.
I'm going to read some stuff because everybody's emotional. So Stefan's being evaluated for a head and neck injury. Obviously, words are words, but he got hit pretty hard. We're in the early stages of that evaluation. And as soon as we get a definitive, and real good clarity on the extent of the injury, we'll give you more. I don't want to speculate, but he is, he's going to the hospital, but he is fine. He was alert when he was loaded onto the ambulance. His fingers were moving, so he was okay in that regard. No paralysis, nothing major, but obviously, again, I don't want to downplay it. I'm very happy to our medical staff because they did a good job to be careful. We can't underestimate that type of stuff. And certainly Wilfred, I appreciate what he did because the ref wasn't going to stop the game. And everybody knew that the game should have been stopped. So good on him. So thank you, Wilfred. Okay.
All right, with that, we'll start with questions. Maz, the mic is coming from Augusto to you.
Yeah, Brian, I want to just speak to moments like this where, they're bigger than football, and it kind of
much bigger
focuses all of us to, the greater things about life.
Be better people, nicer to people. Yeah, Maz, for sure. And we all should. The world would be a better place.
That's all I got for you.
Okay.
All right, we'll go to Jeremiah.
No tactics.
Just on the decision there at the end, I assume you asked that the game be ended, and so what was the exchange that you had with the referee on that?
He was going to give a corner, and I said it can't be a corner kick; it's either a foul or stop the game. And then Wilfred, figured out that it's bigger than a corner kick in the game, and then both of us came together, and the ref finally, when both head coaches came together, decided to make the right decision.
So just so I understand, it sounds like Wilfred took it upon himself to sort of say, no, the game, it's not like the ref came to him and said, what do you want to do?
No, absolutely not.
All right, we'll work over this way, but as we do, Nico Moreno, I see you have a hand raised on Zoom. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Oh, thank you. Brian, just obviously this situation is bigger than anything, but, just your overall takes on the team's intensity at the beginning of the game and, the overall play and the way that you planned it out against this Columbus Crew team.
Yeah, obviously Steph's injury takes full precedent, but I'm glad you asked that, Nico. Because we do have to move on. I mean, that's just part of it. The guys are going to have a day off tomorrow. They can decompress. It's a together group there. They all have Steph's back. But the game was a good game against two top teams. And, we started off the game really well the first 10 minutes, and then they had a long possession spell, got on top of us. Our second goal gave us life. The last 5-6 minutes of the game. And then coming out of halftime, I think what we discussed at halftime came out into the play. Our defending was better, smarter. Our attacking movements were better. We created more expected goals. The possession numbers were 52-48 for them, which is good because that was one of the things we asked our team to do. Make sure that percentage stayed close to 50-50. So for me, it was certainly a down day because of what happened, and the scoreline 1-1. I don't like draws, but at the end of the day, it was a decent performance by the team.
Thank you, Coach.
George.
Coach, so tough week with injury to João Paulo as well. So
Yeah.
yesterday we saw that there was a very nasty injury with Jamal Musiala. And for the people that don't really follow soccer and injury, like he's going to be out for 4 to 5 months just on that injury and ACL. And we've had a couple of those. It takes a lot longer. Can you just explain a little bit what's involved in the recovery from an ACL versus another type of injury?
Well, I'm not an expert, but I will tell you in bigger picture terms, maybe to Maz's question, there was a famous Portuguese footballer that lost his life. And pro sports is certainly entertainment, but they're human beings. It's life. Unfortunate things happen. And how do we react in those moments, I think is critical. I think being nicer, being better human beings, being more considerate, all of those little things is where you're kind of leading the question. And I agree with you. Again, I think I'll credit Wilfred again. The entire Columbus team, all the players, they didn't want to finish the game. They understood the gravity of Steph's injury, and that was fair play on the entire crew organization.
Other questions on this side of the room? Okay, we'll come back over here to Jeremiah.
Yeah, just I guess to steer it towards soccer. What was behind the first? Or, I don't know. The second group of subs was Albert and Paul came off. What was the thinking there? Was that you just wanted? What was the thinking there?
We just wanted fresh legs. It was hot. It was tired. They put in a Herculean effort, and it was nothing more than I have a deep bench, and when I can bring Pedro de la Vega and Ryan Kent on the field, I was trying to get more attack. I started with getting Jordan, trying to get him back on the field, getting back involved, but Danny Musovski was good and the team actually was playing well. So I gotta make sure I revisit and make sure that I make the right subs at the right times to make sure that the team continues to perform.
Moss.
Hey, Brian, you said at halftime you made an adjustment defensively. Without going too much, what did you have to push up, or is it more of a man marking?
Well, we conceded too much. We conceded too much of the field in the first half. They pushed us back, and then we're able to keep possession in their half of the field. They're very good at playing guys out. And so what we wanted to do was push our block a little higher, but stay in a block. Don't press the goalkeeper unless it's the right moment. Actually, we were trying to force them into either the wide sideline traps or make them play the ball back to the goalkeeper and then just stay there and sit there and wait and let the goalkeeper make a decision. And then we react to what they were doing. And, we turned the ball over on them a bunch of times in that first 25 minutes of the second half.
Jeremiah.
Kalani makes the play on the goal, and then he ends up getting the second yellow. I don't know how would you assess?
A soft second yellow. I don't complain about the referees. You guys know me by now. I never complain about the referees, but the guy was going over already.
What did you make of Kalani's performance aside from the red card?
He was fine. I mean, look, he struggled in the beginning a little bit. Some of his decision making, I think he's a guy that's got a lot of energy and stuff, and the game has to slow down for him. But the first goal, that was him. I mean, he created it. Back here, getting up the field. He's a super talented kid. He's gutted for Steph, but he's also gutted that he took a red card. The kid's going to learn from that. And we're going to move on. Same with Reed. Same with, other guys have gotten reds. We've got a few too many this year, but I'll try and correct that.
I think we got to everybody. Appreciate your time this evening.
Thanks, everybody.
Open like normal. See you on the other side.
All right. Hold on. Sorry about this, guys. I had Christian Auto playing. All right, a couple things I want to hit from that Schmetzer presser. Ben, we on this one we do have like full access. I just don't go to training or the pressers much anymore because I'm on the editorial staff for the league website, so I'm just not on the beat anymore. But like we could go to these. We just like neither of us really can with our work schedules always. But it's not like they are denying Lobbing Scorchers access. We have access. I used to be a beat writer, so all right. First thing I wanted to hit from that Schmetzer presser was something I was going to bring up earlier, but I didn't. I hadn't seen the presser yet. I hadn't heard the quote, so I wasn't exactly sure what happened. So I didn't want to opine on it yet. But the fact that okay, here, I'll start with this. Shout out to Wilfred Nancy for doing the right thing, using common sense in a difficult situation. The fact that the referee was going to run the corner kick in that situation is one of the craziest things I've ever heard. Someone needs to have a like very firm conversation with him if that's what he was going to do. You absolutely like cannot even be remotely considering that. And the fact that Wilfred Nancy had to be like, no. This is done. That's unacceptable. Like, I kind of can't believe that happened. That is the easiest decision to make of all time. There's absolutely no reason why he should have even considered running the corner kick. What are we talking about? What are we doing? But credit to Wilfred Nancy. Common sense prevailed in the end there. You have to just end the game right there without a second thought. The fact that he was about to not do that, he should get suspended on the grounds of stupidity. I'm sorry, that's just unreal. But credit to Wilfred Nancy, credit to the crew. I'm glad that think of just like how much worse that would have already made a terrible situation. I think the technicality of where they were at in stoppage is kind of irrelevant. It's just like sort of like you have discretion in a situation like that to just be like, it's like you can't like to like ask the Seattle players to like run a play after that. I don't know. That doesn't sit right, but I'm glad that Wilfred Nancy stepped up. He can end it whenever he wants, exactly. Like what was going through his head for that to even be like an option? What? I thought he called like a okay game. I don't know, but that's just crazy. That is absolutely bonkers. And then the other stuff that Schmetzer was talking about, bigger than footy. Be good to each other, be nice to each other. I was having the same kind of feelings, just like, thinking about the small shit that bothers you on the day to day. Then you see a situation you're like that, and you're like, why am I tripping about that? Why did I say that to this person? Why was I in conflict over this? I think like if there's something that I hope we can all take from this is exactly what Schmetzer was talking about, was just like maybe take a step back. don't sweat the small stuff. Don't snipe at each other over trivial things. I don't know. It's kind of a tangent, but that's sort of what was running through my head just at the stadium, and then when I was bussing home. Yeah, if there's an ambulance, play should probably stop. Straight up, like if that had happened in like the 49th minute, I think you could still justify calling it. That, I guess if there's that much more time, it's like more debatable. They probably do run the rest of the game in that scenario, but with the game with the allotted stoppage already over, to me it's crazy that was even like in his thought process. Yeah, that's what I mean, Zach. Like the idea of like hopping on here and like talking about the brigade or like doing Ferreira discourse. It's just not the vibe today. It's not the vibe. All right, let's play Christian's presser. This is Christian Roldan in the post-game locker room.
Yeah, Christian, I'm going to start. Obviously, those kind of things happen. Just what is that group of players and the concern you have for your fellow teammates? What's going on?
Yeah, it's unfortunately part of the sport, injuries, and a head injury in particular. It affects much more than just a lower leg or a hand injury. But we know Steph, he's resilient. He's going to fight his way back, and having gone through concussions before, he's going to get all the support he needs, and he's going to be, better in no time. But, the most important thing after an injury like this is to give him space, and be patient, and listen to his body, his brain, his symptoms, and in the end, he's gonna be just fine.
What did you see happen?
To be honest, I didn't see much. I'm on the front end of the play, and I turn around and I'm trying to support the play, and I see him on the ground, and he obviously needed help. As I think we all saw him on the ground, we all realized that we needed medical attention, and the most important thing is to not touch him and let the professionals deal with an injury like that. And so credit to our staff to come in and do their part. But yeah, seeing him on the ground is very emotional, because he gives so much to the squad. And again, I think for me in particular, having gone through, something not as crazy as what we just saw, but something of that magnitude, is it kind of brings back, some of those core difficult memories. And so to see Steph, who is always so happy, and to see him like that is always, tough. And so, his support is going to be the most important thing for him.
Was he out cold? I mean, was he moved? Like, when did you, from where we learned, it looked like he was completely out. I don't know if that's how it was in reality or not.
Yeah, he was. He seemed like he was out. He didn't move much, and then he had some moments of moving limbs, and so at that point, you're trying to get everybody's attention. But he seemed out. He seemed like he was in a state that we needed to get him out of, and so I'm glad that he was able to move his limbs and in the end be able to talk.
Christian, did he say anything to you guys?
No, not to us, but to Sheila and Scott, our athletic trainers, to the team doc as well. And so he was responsive towards the end, right? At the beginning, not so much, but the good thing is he was responsive, and he's gonna, with time, he's gonna be okay.
With the game, Schmetzer kind of explained that maybe it was Columbus Wilford kind of calling it. I mean, were you guys looking for the game to be called too, or because it seemed like that might not have happened if the ref
Yeah, I think it's hard to play after something like that. If it happened in the 60th minute, we're forced to do something like that. But in the end, I think there was probably 30 to 45 seconds left in the game. With all the waiting and all the sitting around, I think it was the right thing to do. So credit to Wilfred if he was pushing for that. The game. This is when you realize the game is more than just a game. We put our bodies on the line, and I think when we fight for things, or when we we have such short careers, we just want to, in the end, get the most out of our careers. And so injuries are scary at this point. And so hopefully Steph comes back and he's ready to go.
It's kind of, sorry, we got to shift a little bit to the game. Just overall, just your impressions of this game. You guys won one tie.
Yeah, again, I think there were moments where we could have been better in front of goal. I think this is something that we've talked about for a long time now. We get a chance with Danny in the first half. We get a chance with Paul in the second half. And if we put one of those away, it changes the game. And so, I like our response. Our response was good to the goal. We gave up a bit of a poor goal in transition. But yeah, it seemed like it was a bit of a chess match, right? Sometimes we were walking the ball up, sometimes they were walking the ball up. Moments of transition at times, but then it seemed very calculated. It was very, very much like a chess match.
Do you give solace to the fact that you are getting plays in the box? Earlier in the season you didn't, but now you're getting those. I know you want to score, but you're getting players in the box.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting players in the box and we're getting touches in the box. I think that's the most important thing, right? If we can get touches in the box, if we can get first contact in the box, we're better off because of it. And so, yeah, really important to, get runners for sure. But if we can't find them, right, it's kind of worthless, right? So the fact that we're getting touches in the box is far more important.
Do you feel like you guys kind of lost a little bit of the sharpness that you had coming out of the Club World Cup? Or do you think that today, there was a little bit of other things that impacted the game?
Yeah, a little bit of everything, to be honest. I mean, the weather, right? It is a bit of a slower game. The turf was definitely stickier, so the passes weren't as crisp. Transition with the heat is tough. Columbus is a pretty darn good team. And then we lacked the final third, savviness, final product. And so. Part of playing a good team, part of you have to see these games sometimes, but in the end, like you need to try to keep your standard at the level that we had at Club World Cup, even if the circumstances are different.
Chris, prior to Steph's injury, there was an injury with Joe Paulo. And then when Paul scored, he made like the gesture towards number 6 and Joe Paulo. Was that something that you guys agreed to do? Like whoever scored was going to do celebration for Joe Paulo, or is it just spontaneous from Paul?
Yeah, I think Paul did that upon himself. But, Jao is when we talk about injuries, this is another unfortunate injury, an injury that probably doesn't get the talk it deserves. Again, we train every day, right? We put our bodies on the line every day, and to have now someone that is, I think, a free agent next year, 34 years old, who's given so much to this club, and to have an injury like that puts him out for the rest of the year. It's sad. It's disappointing. He's such a great guy for our team. He's ready when his number is called, and disappointing to have to see that, have to see him go through something so hard, much like Paul Arriola as well. And so, I hope Jao, again, has a speedy recovery, but, you never want to see that. Injuries are such a sad part of our game.
Did you guys need a moment like after this match too? I mean, having that happen this week and stuff today.
A moment, just like in.
Yeah, it's like back to work.
We haven't. I mean, Schmetz talked about, injuries in general, and, I think that we'll kind of address everything come Tuesday when we're back in. But we heard Steph is doing better. Zhao has been around in the locker room. He'll have surgery at some point. But yeah, the most important thing is the human, and we just want the best for, our family. This is our family. We spend so much time together. And sometimes, you look at the Musiala injury in the Club World Cup, right? You see the reactions of the players because it means so much to the individual person on the team, right? Because your teammates you spend so much time with these guys, and so to see that happen, it's sad, and hopefully we hear from Steph soon, and he's gonna be fine in the long run, but we just need to give him time and patience.
All right. Well, after listening to Schmetz and Christian, I feel a little better just from the standpoint of Christian was saying that he was responsive, which was what Schmetzer also said, like before they put him in the ambulance. And it sounds like, as with the information we have right now, they still need to determine the severity of the injury, whether it's the head or the neck, but that he should recover. So that's great news. And hopefully it's a swift and speedy recovery, as Christian just said. All right, I'm down to talk about the game a little bit. Probably hang around for 10, 15 more minutes. Take some questions if you guys got any. Pat says leaving the game, it seemed like everyone was just shell-shocked, hoping Steph recovers smoothly. Yeah, I think everyone's a little just rattled right now. I know I am. Like I said, that was the scariest scene I've ever seen on a soccer field. And it just, the stadium, it was such like an intense moment in the game. That was the game right there. That was like a Columbus free kick at the death. And then it just, like all the energy was just silent, as I'm sure those of you who were there experienced, and those of you who are watching can probably imagine. Quietest I've ever seen the stadium. Yeah. Pedro's haircut. That's a little bit of a lighter topic. I discussed it on Under the Lights. But whenever you have an athlete who changes the hair like that, that's like symbolic of them trying to change the vibes. So that's definitely why he did it. And he does look like an entirely different person. Wade, we were talking about it a little earlier, but the update as of now is that he was responsive as they were putting him into the ambulance, and they're evaluating him for a head and neck injury, but he's expected to be fine. With the information that we have reported right now, that's how I understand the status, which is just a massive relief. God, like, just in that moment, with how frantic the players were, like waving the training staff onto the field, like that was the first indication to me, like, oh shit, because you usually don't see players from both teams start doing that fast. So that was like the first indication that it was a very serious situation. And then they brought the cart out, and then when they took the cart off, I thought, okay, maybe they're gonna have him like stand up, but it turned out that was just because they were bringing the ambulance onto the field. Yeah, I wasn't watching USMNT, but I saw they lost the Gold Cup final to Mexico, unfortunately. But you know what? In the spirit, I think most people know my feelings on the USMNT at this point. But in the spirit of what we were talking about, I'm going to say something nice about the USMNT, even though they lost the Gold Cup final, which is that part of my issue with the USMNT, like golden generation and the guys that they call in or like called in for the World Cup and all the big competitions, is just like they're not like a likable team. They seem like entitled, and I don't know. I just don't like their vibe. But this roster, this Gold Cup roster, B squad guys, exactly. They had that expected dog in them. It felt like this Gold Cup team felt a little more like watching like the throwback, like Dempsey, Donovan, Dempsey, Landon Donovan days, which is what I think this golden generation kind of group, like they don't have that X dog. So I watched a little bit of the USMNT in the Gold Cup, didn't catch any of the final today, but hopefully, and I'll give my guy Poke. I know his name is Potch, but I call him Poke. I'll give Poke credit on that as well. He calls all those guys in. And I'm not saying like just like call in the MLS guys, but like he does merit-based call-ups, it appears. Guys like Alex Freeman, who's a 20-year-old rookie in the league. Diego Luna, he is giving Diego Luna like a platform right now that not every coach would necessarily give a guy like Diego Luna. Diego Luna got left off the Olympic team, which was crazy. That's one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. But Poke he's calling guys in that like should get called in, and that's good coaching. Like you're seeing with Diego Luna why like sometimes just giving a guy an opportunity is all you need to do, and they'll take care of the rest. Looks like that's happening with Diego Luna. So unfortunate for the Yanks to not be able to take down Mexico in the Gold Cup final. But I feel like they honestly had a pretty good tournament, considering what the vibes were before this tournament, with Pulisic like beefing with Tim Howard and Landon Donovan, and then not even showing up. I still think that's weird, by the way, that the captain of the team, the face of the team, was just like, what was he doing? Is he on vacation? Is he podcasting now? I don't know. Did Jordan do anything? Were late subs effective at parking the bus and or getting a late goal? Are they ever? Jordan didn't really find the game that much, but I mean, to be fair, he only played like, I guess he played like 20 minutes, but I'm going to give him some leeway to get his fitness back, get his confidence back. I liked, you could see at least a couple instances where they were trying to hit him with long balls over the top, and he was making those runs, which was good to see. In a way that like Moose has been doing great work. I got no notes for Moose. He's been doing what he needs to do this season. But Jordan's field stretching and just like the runs that he can make in behind, and it's just a different dynamic to the position that I think is can only be of a benefit to this team down the stretch. You know, like Jordan was cooking, or like to start the season. He had 3 goals in his first 2 games before he got injured, and then he keeps re-aggravating the hammy. So it looked like he was running the post-game sprints, which I'm always like, I know there's some training reason with that. Like there's a set amount that they want them or need them to run to maintain their fitness or whatever. But for a guy that's been re-aggravating a hamstring pull, like watching him do the post-game sprints with the guys, I'm like, just don't bust at full speed now. Let's see what else. Impressed with Ken again. I think he could have gotten the ball from the keeper on that run. Pedro's hair looks amazing. I think the winger situation is worth talking about. I think Lobbing Scorchers inadvertently might have started some discourse on that. I don't know if that's true, but I was seeing stuff on the timeline before the game related to Rothrock getting the start and De La Vega not starting. A lot of people feel like De La Vega should be starting, which is a valid position to hold. What we were talking about is that we feel like the answer to the one of the starting winger questions might just be Paul Rothrock at this point. And I saw some stuff like comparing De La Vega's underlying like goals and assists per 90. It might have been something. There's some underlying attacking stat that De La Vega and Rothrock are roughly equal in, which I think is probably accurate. But that's also the issue, right? That's what I'm saying. Like when the $7 million player, when there's a heated debate between the $7 million player and the dude on 100K who played for Georgetown and Notre Dame, that's like that's why that's a storyline. But to me, like, especially if you look at these last two games, if you're asking yourself like where the end product is actually coming from, it's just I think it's just Paul Rothrock. I think it's just I don't know. Why is our $7 million DP being benched? That's what I'm. Yeah, exactly. You could say maybe you think that that's Schmetz making a wrong decision, but I don't know. Rothrock had the assist on Jesus Ferreira's goal in the Austin game, and he scored the goal today. I thought the game overall, I thought it was a good game. I thought it was two good teams going at it. Columbus gets that first goal, which was not the greatest defending I've ever seen, but that's also, if you watch the Lobbing Scorchers Under the Lights preview with Caleb Denorm of Massive Report, that's what the Crew do. That goal that they scored was absolutely beautiful. First of all, that was champagne footy. But that's Nancy ball. That's what they do. They do that to every team. I had zero expectation of Seattle keeping a clean sheet in this game because the crew attack is that good. I think the fact that they held Columbus to one goal in this game is a pretty good day at the office against a Wilfred Nazi coach team. Even when they're on the road, it doesn't really matter where they play. They're able to play their game like that. And them getting a goal like that didn't surprise me. It was, I got to go back and watch it again, but my reaction live was just like, okay. I can't say much about that one. That was just a really sick goal. But then Seattle got a very nice goal of their own to level that up. Good stuff on that goal. KKR, it's unfortunate. We'll talk about the red card, I guess. It's unfortunate because that soured what I thought was a great KKR game. He just makes stuff happen. That play on the Rothrock goal, that's all KKR, like creating that in a way that, shout out to Alex Roldan again, because he played center back again and did it quite well. I feel like he did very well again. That was sort of interesting though, because Jay Bell, that's kind of where the first place my mind went when I saw the starting 11 and that Alex was the center back again. I'm like, okay, they're doing it again against a much better team, and Jay Bell is an option. I was talking to some people about it in the press box. The reasoning might be because with Alex in there, you can keep Jackson Reagan in his natural position, and that's kind of where he is most effective at helping the offense from. One of the like kind of X factors on this team is Jackson Reagan's ability to facilitate the attack from the back. Maybe playing by Alex keeps him in a spot where he's more suited to do that. Either way, Alex Roldan's been fine. Better than fine. Good. Good deputization. All right. I'm sorry, I'm going through chat here. Can we have an honest critique about Jesus? He had tons of bad passes and was pretty much a ghost all game. It wasn't. I'm not gonna argue against that. It wasn't a great Jesus game. I've been encouraged by what I've seen from him in the last few weeks. It's been nice to see him get a couple goals. I know the goal against Austin probably didn't count because there's only 4 teams in the league where it counts, but the one against San Diego certainly did. No one can say that one didn't count. So it was good. It's been good to see him looking better, and he did have Rothrock set him up for a real nice one early in the game, and he skied it, and then didn't really get that involved the rest of the game. And there was one sequence in particular too where it looked like he had Rothrock at the far post for a similar type play that Rothrock set him up for in the Austin game, and instead he like cut it back and it got intercepted temporarily, but then they like won it back again, and then he made like the wrong pass again, I think. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't his best game, but I mean, I do think that he's been looking a lot better lately. So we'll just have to see if he can get back on track. Because I see what you're saying, Wade. It wasn't a great game today, but he did have a couple good games before this. So 64K versus 7 mil has nothing to do with the spot on the field. Players' execution, performance, and stamina matters 10 times more. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter like on the merits of it, like you're saying, but it matters when you're talking about your roster construction. That's been my point the whole time. I think people are getting my take twisted a little bit. Not you, Hunch, but like some of the takes I was seeing today. It's what I'm saying isn't about like bagging on De La Vega. We're saying that he's not good. Like that's the kind of frustrating thing is like I do see what they were scouting. I do. Like I honestly do. He's clearly very talented. The only point I've been making on this is that you run into a simple reality at a certain point in these situations where if the production you're getting from a DP spot isn't matching the price tag, that's just going to be an issue. Just is. Like that has like nothing to do with being a referendum on the player. It's just like the reality. I got you, Ed. I know you're not a goals don't count guy. I think the offense in general was okay today. Like good at times. I liked how they were trying to hit Columbus in transition a little bit. It felt like they were finding some good spaces. I haven't seen what the XG is, but I feel like there was definitely chances there to put at least one more goal on the board The chances were there. They were a little wasteful. The early Ferreira chance comes to mind. Like, that was a good look. Why can't our 7 million DP go 90 minutes? That is a problem. Talent is there, but production isn't matching what we've paid. Yeah, and that doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. But the thing is, like, he's not starting right now. He's getting like bit player, substitute, cameo type minutes. Which, if Paul Rothrock is producing a goal contribution every week like he has the last 2 games, then it's less of an issue, I guess. But banking on Paul Rothrock for like DP level stat sheet production, like sustainably going forward, maybe you get that. But I guess this is what I was going to say earlier is regarding whatever stats might be out there comparing Paul Rothrock and Pedro de la Vega. As I understand it, they grade out quite similarly. And when you have a situation where the production and the underlying numbers, or whatever the case may be, are similar like that, the differentiator for the coaching staff, especially a coach like Brian Schmetzer, is going to be expected dog, effort, pressing, playing defense. De La Vega, I think he's actually decently good about that stuff. He runs a lot. He presses. He doesn't, I don't consider him a guy who like dogs it on defense. But Rothrock is just phenomenal at that stuff. He never stops running. He's a good two-way player. He plays great defense. And he just brings energy. And he's bringing final product. But, you could say, like, right now you have a situation where De La Vega is not really getting a chance to show his final product. If it's just like 10, 15, 20-minute cameos at the end of the game, I don't really know how to judge that. That's I feel like 30 minutes is a fair, like, enough of the game to be like, all right, you had enough time to make your impact on the game. And if you didn't, then that's attributable to your performance or your level at the moment. When we start talking about 10 to 20 minute cameos, it's just not a lot of time. Have you had a chance to talk about how frequently the crew stopped the game and wasted time? Every time the ball went out, Rossi stood in front of the ball for 30 seconds and the ref does nothing. Yeah, I did notice them doing that stuff. That's gamesmanship, baby. They're good at it. That is part of Nancy ball, I think. Oh my God, they had the one where this was time wasting at its finest. I'm not even mad about it. Like, it is part of the game to a certain extent. Like, I get that it's frustrating to watch, but teams are going to do that. They do it quite effectively. But this was one of the most masterful sequences of time wasting I've ever seen. The guy went down, and right before it hit like whatever cutoff it is where he has to come off the field, I don't know if it's 30 seconds or a minute or what. There's some threshold where technically you're supposed to come off the field. And he got up right before that threshold. So he didn't have to come out of the game. And then the guy who was taking the throw in for Columbus took a time wasting yellow, not taking the throw in. And then the same guy went down again. So they really got like just so much time off the clock. I get that it's frustrating, but it's fair play to me. I don't know about fair play, but it's part of the game. They got that CONCACAF in him. DJ, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Appreciate the support. Sounders were great, but it's always that final third where we just fell apart. It was wasteful today. They should have had more than one goal. Which I guess in a way, I think in general it's good that they were playing one of the best teams in the league today. That Crew team, there's no question about it. That's like a measuring stick type opponent. That's the type of opponent where if you're able to beat them, you can probably play with pretty much anybody in the league. I think they're that good. I know that they went through a tough patch earlier in the season. I know they lost to Inter Miami really badly. But, I mean, you guys saw it today. You guys saw the goal they scored today. That is just absolute high level, perfectly executed footy is what that is. That is a goal of a very good soccer team. So the fact that Seattle was going blow for blow with them and could have won the game. I think that's at least you can take it positive of they're not going to have to play that many teams better than the team they played today. That team is sick, and they have the best coach in the league. It was, and it's masterful time wasting. Hanauer Tichty's not getting a Messi visit. What do you mean, Messi? Oh, I mean, I don't know, but they do get to play Messi later this year. I'm going to that. Excited for that. Eye test puts Paul ahead of De La Vega. Yeah, I don't like. I agree, but like, I don't know. The Rothrock our Rothrock discussion was more controversial than I anticipated. To me, like, Rothrock is the one showing end product right now. Like, it's pretty much that simple. I know his counting stats for the season aren't crazy. He's got 7 goal contributions. He should have 8. I will die on the hill that them taking away his assist in the Houston game was. I still have I get that it took a tiny deflection, but it was. He has 1 more assist than are listed on his stats. But just if we're talking about like the concept of riding the hot hand, Paul Rothrock has shown end product that has led to goals in each of the last 2 games. And they were good high-level plays. The assist against Austin was a great ball to the far post. And the goal today, it was a great goal that the team was able to score. And it's funny that it was KKR to Rothrock, you know. The super draft pick in the academy kid. I think Columbus, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty even game. I thought it was relatively even. I definitely didn't think one team vastly outperformed the other. I thought it was a competitive game. I think it was a good game. I think it was a decent performance for Seattle defensively. Again, it is really not easy to hold that team to 1 goal. They score a lot of goals. They're one of the best teams in the league at that, scoring goals. So to me, holding them to 1 goal, and it's not like I didn't think they were XG merchanting out there either. I thought the defense did what it needed to do, especially with Alex Roldan playing center back again. And it was really the offense that played well enough to win the game. But I mean, if you're wasteful with your chances, you can't really feel too aggrieved about it. But it was good to see Jordan Morris get back out there, like for a more extended run, and hopefully that helps things. I think if you're looking for, it's not a super fun day, but as for this team's future prospects, if you're looking for a beacon of something that might elevate the situation to a higher level than it's operating right now, which I think, they're at 1.5 points per game. If you're looking at for something that maybe they can go on a run where they're playing at closer to 2, which is where you want to be if you're truly like an elite team in the league, it's that they're getting their best goal scorer back, and they haven't had him all season. I've been saying that I feel like the issues with this team are relatively simple. It's that you have your DP number 9 injured for the entire season, and then one of your other DPs isn't really playing much right now. And Paul Rothrock, God love him, he is deputizing his ass off. But like, if you had Jordan Morris firing all season and you had De La Vega hitting, I think this team probably is closer to 1.8, 1.9 points per game. But they haven't had that this year. Hunch Punch, member for 3 months. Thank you, man. Appreciate your support, as always. Let's send Steph some good vibes on Blue Sky. Find some art, your local art, and tag him in Art for Steph. Hashtag ARFS. Nod to Wrinkle Wednesday. I love that, Hunch Punch. Everyone send as many good vibes to Steph Fry as possible. Why was Alex playing CB? We were talking about that a little bit. The theory that was floating around the press box was that if you start J Bell, perhaps you have to put him in his like natural position, which moves Jackson out of his. And Jackson is the offense. I don't know if people realize like how big a difference Jackson Reagan makes in attack because of his long passing. He's a very like uniquely gifted facilitator in that way for a center back. He's a very, very like key member of the offense. So perhaps starting Alex allows you to keep Jackson in that role. I don't know if there's actual legs to that, but it could be a reason why they were in a situation where they wanted to run Alex out there again, or maybe to get KKR on the field. You saw what KKR was doing today until he got the red card. I think James has another good point as well. Schmetzer pretty consistent about riding a hot hand, which I get that, and that's what I was thinking. It felt riskier to do it against the Crew than Austin. Austin strikes me as much more of an opponent when you're playing them at home, where you can do stuff like that, and the risk is it's still risky to send a guy out. He had never played CB and MLS before that game, so it was still risky. It felt dicier to me against one of the best attacking teams in the league, which Austin's one of the worst attacking teams in the league. But to be fair, I got no like complaints about how it went. I think Alex he's done really well these last 2 games. But now KKR is suspended for the next game. Pushing his luck, exactly. But look, it did work. I think it pretty much worked. You gave up the 1 goal, but I don't know if that was I'll have to watch that goal back. That goal was, God, the Crew that was just, they absolutely sliced and diced that one. They cooked there. Yeah, no, it was odd, and I don't foresee it as a long-term thing. With a pretty weak schedule going into Leagues Cup, how many points do you expect us to get from these next 4? That's a good question. I'm going to pull up the schedule right now because I don't know what games are coming up off the top of my head. And, you know, anytime I'm doing like predictions like this, I caveat it with this is the hardest league to prognosticate of any major professional sports league. You can think a matchup's going to look one way or go one way on paper, and then oftentimes it goes the exact opposite, to the point where I was doing a thing for a while, like kind of as a bit, where when I was trying to predict MLS games, I would predict just the opposite, the exact opposite of what the records, the point totals, the points per game, quality of the rosters, all that. I was just predicting the opposite of what that would tell you. My hit rate was better. It was still not great. But there was just so many instances where it was like the team that I didn't think, that you wouldn't think would win, does win. It happens in this league more than any other league. That being said, I'm down to take a look at what they got coming up here and try and suss it out. All right, so after drawing Columbus 1-1, the Seattle Sounders will be headed to Kansas City next weekend to take on the club of professional wrestling enthusiasts, who are one of the worst teams in MLS this year. However, I feel like they have some life under this interim coach, and also that's a tough place to play. At least in the peak Vermees era, it was. That is the venue where Jordan Morris and Leo Chu famously combined for 4 goals. Jordan Morris scoring all 4 of them. Leo Chu assisting on all 4 of them. Which Leo Chu hanging 4 assists on you, that's tough. He never did that to any other MLS team. But that's a match where I feel like 3 points are ripe for the taking based on the quality of the Sporting KC side. I don't think that their roster is particularly close to where Seattle's is right now. I think they're young guys. They're playing a lot of young guys. So that's one where if you really should be hoping to pick off a win there. If you draw that, it's not like the end of the world, but since you drew this one at home today, a win would help offset that a little bit, and it's not that good a team. So that's one that I would circle as like you really. I'm not going to call it a must win, but it's like you need to really try and win that game. And then it's back to Lumen for hosting the Colorado Rapids, who are a solid but not like great team. And they typically don't. The Seattle trips are typically hard for them. I don't think their record here is very good. So that's another one where 3 points should be the goal and expectation. Absolutely. Then they host the Quakes, who have the best offense in the league. Did you guys know that? Did you guys know that the San Jose Earthquakes have scored the most goals in MLS? They have like 40 goals. So that's not their team is okay. They're still pretty porous defensively, as I understand it. But that team can score goals. I would be pretty surprised if Seattle shuts them out, even at Lumen, honestly. So, but you do have that at home, and their team, Seattle really should be able to get at San Jose offensively. I think so. Like Colorado has more of a credible MLS defense, I think. Kansas City and San Jose, there should be chances in those games. If you're not racking some XG against the club of professional wrestling enthusiasts in San Jose, then that's not good. Like you need to at least be taking it to those guys a little bit. Colorado, like I said, that's a game that they're harder to score on than these other two teams, theoretically. That's what I'll say. And then it's on the road to Atlanta to take on the fighting Garth Lagerways and Chris Hendersons. And that's one of the worst teams in the league by far. So that is a tough road trip, tough environment, all that. But that team is bad. That's the worst team out of all of these that Seattle's going to play. San Jose always is kind of like a bogey team. But now see, it's kind of like, I feel like they're the bogey team when they're bad. You know what I mean? Like they last year they wooden spooned and Seattle didn't beat them. You guys remember that bit? San Jose conceded the most goals in MLS history, and Seattle tied them once. And then did they take an L? I'm pretty sure they didn't beat them. I know they tied once. They either tied twice or took a tie and an L. I can't remember. But yeah, like the Quakes is an example of a game where you see it at home and you're like, oh, the San Jose Earthquakes, they're not like anything special. But like they absolutely rack goals. But they give up a lot of chances. That's the thing. Like I know it sounds fun to be racking up goals like that, and I'm sure it is. But it hasn't helped their team that much because I think it's at the expense of, like, they kind of play just a little reckless. That's what this year's Quakes strike me as. Tying a loss, yeah. But this San Jose team is significantly better than the one that Seattle tied and lost against last year. So that means by the laws of MLS that Seattle should be able to beat them this year. Ooh, I like this take, James. I think Atlanta is bad because Lagerwey is rusty, having put in no effort in his last 2 years in Seattle. I'm so locked into the Atlanta United Lagerwey beat. I'm just fascinated by it because it's one thing to like fall short of expectations, but they spent $30+ million on Emmanuel Latte-Loth and Miguel Almiron, and Garth Lagerwey said, and I quote verbatim, "We're back, baby." He said that. And then they ended up being one of the worst teams in the league this year. There's no real signs that that's letting up. The game they just played at DC United last night was one of the worst soccer games of all time. It was a 0-0 draw, but it was sometimes a 0-0 can hit. Like the Al Ahly Inter Miami game in the Club World Cup. That was a 6-0-0. This was a bad 0-0. Real bad. So they're one of the worst teams in the league. And it's like, I was talking about this on another show a couple weeks ago, but Garth gave an interview finally to Doug Roberson of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And he was very dismissive of the idea that Ronnie Dyla has any culpability in how this season has gone. And the way he put it was like, our coach who's been here for 4 months is not responsible for this. The implication being, you guys are like really talking about firing the coach that just got here, who had nothing to do with like putting this team together, is coming into a situation that's not his own. And you're saying that he has anything to do with this. And it's like, Garth, you said we're back, baby. You said that. I didn't say that. I wouldn't have said that if I were in your position. I don't think it works like that. I don't think you can set the expectations at we're back, baby. And then when it goes off the rails this badly, our coach has, what do you want from him? He just got here. You said we're back. So I just think what's going on with them is fascinating. I always take a little Schadenfreude in a big spending type team that goes down in flames like this. I just think it's kind of funny. But it's also, I have like a morbid fascination with it. How did you guys drop $30 million and you've won 4 games through match day 22? How does that happen? If you gave me a a 1.5 points per game MLS roster and $30 million, I could get to the playoffs. I wouldn't be 4-10-2. I'm being facetious. Should have beaten them and RSL at home last season. I don't remember this Quakes L. Was it at home? I'm pretty sure the one in San Jose was the tie, which means that the L would have been at home. I must have blocked that out of my memory. I think so too, James. Like, I have a hard time. I still believe that Chris Henderson is a brilliant guy. And really, when we're talking about key characters and how Seattle won a couple of MLS Cups and CONCACAF Champions League, I still believe that Chris Henderson had as much a role as like anybody in that. But that's just why it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. They gave were Latte Loth and Almiron not Henderson and Lagerwey guys? And I shouldn't really say much because there's video evidence of me on our channel saying that I considered Miguel Almiron the best move any MLS club made all offseason. I said that. I'm not sad to have been as wrong as I was about that. I love that. I'm happy to take that L. But no, I think it can't, with the resources that they have. We've saying this for years. The resources that they have, there's no way they're like this bad forever. But as it stands right now, with Seattle going to Atlanta on July 26th, they are going to be playing a like truly actively bad team. It's not even like a mid team. They're if anyone thinks this Sounders season has been that bad, which I get that they're at 1.5, which is below expectation. They've underachieved based on the expectations we all have for them. To me, there ain't no reason that this team shouldn't always be up at 1.7 to like 1.9. But Atlanta United is like, that is a season that's truly off the rails. That's what I'm saying. Like, that it could always be worse. Gonzo Pineda got a raw deal. He was coaching his ass off over there. Okay, he got there 2 weeks before Almiron and Latte Loth. That would that makes me feel like Chris Henderson probably hasn't had that much of an imprint. But it goes back to what I was saying. Like, then why do the media tour like we're back? Just don't say that. What you say is, look, we're excited about the guys we brought in. We think Marinchek's a beast. He's not. He's horrible. We spent all this money on Latte Loth, who is an electric player. We got Almiron coming back. So we feel pretty good about where we're at. But, these things take time. Might be an adaptation process. New coach. So let's be a little patient, but we're cautiously optimistic. I would say something like that. I wouldn't say, we're back, baby. I would not say that. It's just kind of surprising because when Garth was here, I was considered him like he is a very media savvy guy. He knows how to work the media. He knows what he should and shouldn't be saying. That was just putting his foot in his mouth, in my opinion, uncharacteristically, unnecessarily. You don't need to say that. How this season has gone either way wouldn't have helped him much, but I don't know. I would love to know exactly like what role who in their front office had for what their roster looks like right now. Because Garth's not going to get fired. He's not the GM really. His role there is it encompasses such a broader scope than just player personnel. He's like a business guy. He's a lawyer by trade. He's the CEO of the team. He did. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I guess you're right. He actually did have I still think what I said is generally true. Like when he was doing scrums at Starfire, and when I like the times that I interviewed him, he would just be spitting. Like he's a gifted wordsmith, orator. But he did put his foot in his mouth a few times in Seattle. Days of Sounders being biggest spenders are over. Garth, everyone knows it, just don't say it. Green is the color. I hope you're not like, I don't know what you mean by that, but if you're like trying to do a bit or clowning, I would read the room a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if that's what you mean. I don't know what you mean, but that's not the time. Matt Sexton, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Appreciate you as always. Can we get a Waves Garth agenda check? People aren't gonna like that. Okay, you know what I'll do? You know what I'm gonna do, Matt? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna either make a video or do a segment on Under the Lights where I make a list of every Craig Weibs transaction. I'm just going to go through and we'll give him like a little grade or just kind of do an evaluation on his tenure, because I think there's enough. There's enough now. My whole point, even going into this year, was like there really just hasn't been numerically a lot of moves to have a passionate opinion on for myself. But now this season, we got a couple more. Got the Ferreira trade. We got the Ryan Kent thing. And then, on top of that, there's Moose. There's De La Vega. Probably a couple more I'm not thinking of. It's like 5-6 moves maybe. We can go through. See where things stand for Weibs. I tend to think it's still kind of an incomplete grade. But we have a lot more to go on now than we did previously. We have more than half a season of Ferreira and De La Vega now. It was that bad, dude. That's what I'm saying. I trust that you didn't know that. Thoughts on Noah, Ohio? Yeah, I can do that. I went longer than I'll go like an hour and a half, and then I'm probably gonna call it a night here. But hang out for a few more minutes. Okay, yeah. Thoughts on Noah, Ohio? So this is the guy, the Dutch forward that Seattle have been linked to. For the U22 spot. And okay, like here's I'll just give you guys my initial Noah, Ohio take, which is that I'll give a heavy caveat, which is that I haven't even watched his highlights. I've not watched 1 second of him play. I've seen one highlight where he scored a really sick goal from like near midfield. So that was cool. But I have not watched like a game or even like a highlight reel. So I have no idea if he's good or not, or if he's going to be good. But here's what I will say. I know this exact type of profile of player. I've seen teams in MLS sign guys exactly like this a lot of times at this point. We did a segment on Under the Lights where I went through the entire list of every team's U22s, saw who hit on some, saw who didn't hit, who was a hit, who was a bust, all that stuff. And in general, every time a team signs somebody to a U22, it's a big roster transaction. I see all that. I look at all that. So I know that he's the exact profile of player that I've seen a lot of teams sign. And I will tell you, this particular type of profile, just in terms of like career trajectory, amount of clubs he's played for, goal scoring production, games played, the total package of what we can see on his transfer market, this profile for a U22, it doesn't usually work. That's just track record. That doesn't mean it's not going to. I want to be very clear about that. I don't want to put this. I don't want to put any bad juju on the guy before I've literally ever watched him play. But it's a long shot. Like the vast likelihood of the outcome on a player of this profile, based on what I've seen, this is just based on what I think is a lot of evidence, is you're looking at an outcome that's like closely rougher to the Leo Chu end of the spectrum than the Dejan Joveljic. Dejan Joveljic is kind of the outlier. And there are teams that have had success with guys like this, some more than others. I think the Timbers are actually a good example of a team that has had a lot more success with the U22 signings, certainly than Seattle has to this point. But like, to me, it just seems like the kind of long odds that it's going to be a super big hit. But it could be like, there are also outcomes with stuff like this where if you scout it up right and you see something that the market's not seeing and you jump on it early, you could hit big. And it's entirely possible that Noah Ohio is in that category. He's best friends with Jude Bellingham. So who knows? Maybe if he comes to Seattle and has a good time and stays with the team, Jude Bellingham Sounder? I don't know. Mundy says, I just want to say, I know people are saying Christian deserves to be on the men's national team, but so does Rothrock. Oh, you're already cooking with this take. He has so much drive and passion. That's a guy you want repping the jersey. I mean, low key. Low key. Low key. Lowest of keys. On the scale of keys, very low. But it's just not going to be you're not going to win many friends with that take. Here's what I'll say. USMNT, I don't think, it's almost like so much just not going to happen that it's not even worth talking about. But the idea of Paul Rothrock we were talking about the championship for Paul Rothrock. Isn't he kind of like the same reasons he's such like a perfect fit for CONCACAF style? I feel like he could thrive in that league. I don't know. I think his quality, like he has more actual quality and end product, I think, and this is sort of what I've been talking about, than people give him credit for. To where maybe he could play in Europe. And if he's playing in Europe and he was balling out, maybe the USMNT becomes part of the discussion. Bree, the prognosis on Fry right now is positive in the sense that both Christian Roldan and Brian Schmetzer said he was responsive, moving around, when they were loading him into the ambulance. And Schmetzer said that he is, as far as he knows, at the moment, he's expected to be fine. So, yeah. Obviously, it's just such a scary situation. Terrible way to end that game. But at least we have the initially positive prognosis that he's expected to recover, which I feel very relieved. Like I said earlier, I felt a lot better after listening to those pressers, and just because, like, when we're watching from the box, we see him down there. We have no idea. Like, I didn't see him moving. Sucked. Concern is that Ohio scored like a 35. That's the goal I was talking about that I saw. So I think it's just as likely Weibel saw that on TikTok as it was there was extensive scouting. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, apparently there's an offer down. So they want him. Yeah, I'm just going to put this guy in timeout. I know he said that he like didn't see it and didn't know the severity, but I just didn't. That vibe was not. It's a read the room. It's a read the room. We all have our fun with the rivalry banter, and I really don't have any issue at all with Timbies fans in our chat or in our comments. I don't, and a lot of them are come in our chat and are totally fine. Jeremy Peterman of Cascadia Soccer comes on our show all the time, so I got no issue with that. But I don't know, wasn't sitting right. KKR loved him today, best player on the field for us, but he has to be smarter. It really sucked that that his shift ended like that, because it was such a good shift, man. Like the run and pass on that Rothrock goal by KKR. That's what you want. That's modern fullback stuff. Thoughts on Andy T time? He hasn't had a moment since Open Cup. I think Andy T is a high level backup in the league, and he might not be the shot stopper that Fry is, but I trust him to deputize however much he needs to. And I know he's seen that he's seen as the heir apparent, like he's gonna be the starter when Fry retires. So I don't think it's a situation where there's like such a crazy drop off that I expect that the team to drop a significant amount of points off, like because of the goalkeeper situation. I'd be pretty surprised if that happened. I think you might get like a goal or two here and there conceded that Fry would have saved. It's definitely possible when you're going from the starter to the backup who hasn't been playing a lot. But overall, I trust Andy T to fill in. It was a tough that was a tough Ferreira miss early in the game. It was such a good chance set up by Rothrock, and he had enough space to get it on frame at least. Like there was the one of Seattle's best chances in the second half was the transition opportunity where Rothrock was wide open, and he shot it and it got saved. And my first reaction was like, dude, oh, you had just lay it off, because I thought he had a couple of runners. When I watched the replay, I actually didn't mind. I don't mind him taking the shot. I don't know. Some people might disagree. I didn't mind him taking the shot because Columbus had defenders that very easily could have intervened if he had laid it off. But I also didn't mind it because he got it on target. Got to get it on target. All right, guys, I'm going to call it there. Went an hour and a half. Take off for the night. Thank you all for tuning in. Sorry about not taking calls today, but it didn't feel like the vibe, like I said. Got to read the room better than that referee did, which I still can't believe that happened. My guy was about to have Columbus take that corner kick after one of the Seattle players left the field on an ambulance. With stoppage time, if it's earlier in the game, there's a debate for sure. With it already past the 100th minute, you chalk that. Use referee's discretion. He must have. I can't fathom what he was thinking with that. But again, shout out to Wilfred Nancy, all class. Respect to the Columbus crew for that. Wilfred Nancy, if he wanted to be a dick, he could have been like, I want to take this corner, try and like use the situation to our advantage, get all 3 points. He could have done that. But he's like a normal, reasonable guy and was like, no, let's just call this. I already respected Wilfred Nancy a lot based on the footy that his teams play. I respect him even more now. Thank you. Thank you for doing the very most obvious right thing. Shouldn't have had to do it. But glad he did it. Like the video if you guys can. Sub to the channel if you're not already. LobbingScorchers.com/sauce. I think that's about all the plugin. Obviously, tough day today. Downer of an ending to the game. Best wishes to Stephen Fry, Sounders legend. We'll obviously stay plugged into what the status updates are there. And we'll drop a podcast this week. Nico and I will be on bright and early tomorrow for Lobbing Scorchers kickoff. And I'll be under the lights Thursday, 7:30. So the content is going to keep rolling. Have a good night, everybody. Be cool. Be good to each other. Maybe do something nice for somebody. I don't know. Don't sweat the small stuff. If you're in conflict with somebody right now, maybe just squash the beef. I don't know. Put some good vibes, good juju out in the world. Love y'all. Appreciate you guys. Catch you tomorrow morning.
Some people come to Lumen Field for the tactics, for the soccer, the atmosphere. And some come for Paul Rothrock's hair. Me personally, I come for both, because I have agendas to push. Live soccer isn't just better, it's way more personal. From making friends to becoming the guy in your section that's just constantly yelling about advanced statistics. Get tickets to any Sounders match by visiting LobbingScorchers.com/tickets. You support the pod, our agendas, the vibes, and the chaos.